Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Untitled Reviews. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Season 2 finale of Squid Game. A great season finale. A lot of very interesting things went down in this episode. So let's break it down. First and foremost, I called it. I'm sure I'm not the only one who called it. I knew that captain was so suspicious. Oh my God, I knew it. I was like, am I just being paranoid? But I was like, just something felt off about him from the very beginning. I even found it suspicious. You just happened to be in the right area and find Junho. I was just like, there's just something about that just didn't seem right. And lo and behold, the episode starts with like the drone pilot is like throwing up and he catches the captain tinkering with the drone because he's self-sabotaging this along the way, which I brought this up last episode too when we were talking about Team 2. I was like, I didn't think about it at the time. Well, when they initially split into two teams, I didn't think about it, but I brought it up last episode. I'm like, what if the captain, and because the guy's like, oh, I know this guy. So it was like, well, the captain's part of this whole situation. Who's to say the other guy that's with Team 2 isn't the same way too? So ends up stabbing the drone pilot and then pushing his body off, and then Woo Seok wakes up and it's like, oh, what was that noise? The guy was like, oh no, just stuff is bumping, go to sleep. And you're just like, man, how are you gonna cover that up? Because they're gonna wake up and be like, yo, where's the drone pilot? I'm like, I guess you could cover that up, sure, but it's like, well, there's too many people here and they're too armed, so it's not like you can just start systematically killing people. You're probably going to try and put them in a position where you can trap them in a place where someone can come aboard and just wipe them all out. I mean, obviously you could just easily cover that up of like, oh, maybe he fell off the boat because he was super drunk or whatever. You can come up with excuses, but I'm so curious to see how that plays out. But that's all we got on that storyline. So I'm like, where's that going to go? And like I said, is Team 2 in the exact same situation? Because he wasn't planning on killing anyone. He was just going to have them spin their wheels long enough. I guess maybe eventually, like, because they need someone to stay on the inside. So you want them to keep their wheels spinning, not knowing you're there serving them this information on serving, the game master and all of them, all this information on a platter. So, but either way, we also pick up in the aftermath of last episode where Myungi ends up killing Thanos. Well, stabbed him multiple times, but Bastard was still alive, bleeding out. But yeah, stuff really popped off, and I thought he might be the only death. Surprisingly, there wasn't as much death in that scene as much as I thought it would. Because I thought his death would be the one thing. Maybe there'd be some fighting. I wasn't expecting other people to get got too. So in totality, 5 people died. 2 on the X's side, 3 on the circle side. So they came out of the bathroom being like, it was this person, pointing fingers on who started it first. But then immediately the messed up nature of it all kicks in. The guy 100's like, whoa. How many people did we lose? Count. And so the circles was 47 and the X's were 48. So it's like, right, if we keep this up, we'll easily be able to like win the vote and we'll get out of here. But Gi-hoon knows what time it is. He's like, the fact of the matter is, the fact is they're going to try and kill us. So because we have the winning vote, they're going to try and kill us just so, for one, they can get more money in the pile, but also secure their vote and being able to stay. Once again, Gi-hoon's been through this, The games may have changed, like the overarching games may have changed, but the mind games have not. In fact, the main officer right now is the one kind of lining people up. He's like, oh, yeah, they're even saying like, oh, a special game has been activated. Something that also got me thinking too, looking at the forks and stuff this episode that I didn't even think about. I kept thinking about like, right, when Deok-su and the others were like, snuck in and killed everyone in their sleep, attacked at night, right? I only thought about that. The thing that never crossed my mind is like, right, that final thing before the final game between that dinner that Gi-hoon, Sungwoo, and Sae-byeok were, because the whole point was to give them knives that they could use to kill each other, which ultimately that's what ended up happening, right? Well, Sungwoo ended up killing Sae-byeok, but when it's all said and done, that's probably the even more direct parallel. It's a combination of the two, but like I said, I didn't even think about that until I was looking at the forks this episode, thinking about that, because I was like, right, because they specifically gave you forks and knives. it's actually interesting too, because I think keeping that in mind goes into why Gi-hun was like, no, we're not going to do that, because In-ho was like, well, we have to attack them first, because it's like, right, we'll have the advantage. They won't think we'll attack first, and we could use that to our advantage and attack first. But Gi-hun was like, no, we can't do that. Like, if we do that, we should be focusing on the people running the game, not trying to kill each other. But Gi-hun's also coming from that perspective of, right, because he was going to go after Sungwoo, but Sae-byeok stopped him to not do that. It's like, that's not who you are. And so Gi-hun isn't all about killing players. He's avoided that as much. And like I said, he's done, like, he's gone both seasons never directly killing one. He's had less to do with people dying this season, trying to do his best to make sure everyone survives. Well, once again, it's kind of an indirect thing, because it's like, well, we have to sacrifice people. So this is the closest he's had a hand in people's dying, even though it's like, well, you technically had just as much of a hand in the tug of war thing. But you get what I'm saying. I keep stressing that point. But it's like, he's never directly going out of his way to, like, kill another player, you know? It's just always kind of like the circumstances put him in that situation. So it's like, right, we got to go for the Game Master. So Gi-hun's plan is, when the lights go out and they're getting ready to strike us, you all go hide. And when you go hide, we have to wait. Like, we have to let some people sadly die, because, like, there have to be small sacrifices for the greater, you know, because for the greater good. Because if we don't, there'll be an even bigger sacrifice. And In-ho was looking at him, because I guess In-ho finds Gi-hun so fascinating, because it's like, for one, Il-nam kind of took a liking to you, so Il-nam saw something in you, and I think In-ho is starting to see it too, of like, oh, you are probably very, maybe In-ho sees a lot of himself in Gi-hun, like maybe who Gi-hun is and all that Gi-hun's trying to do, maybe In-ho was exactly like him some time ago, some years ago, and it's like, right, it's like looking at a mirror, it's like looking at, you know, me in the past type of situation. But it could also just be like, all right, like, maybe In-ho likes this situation, because he's like, all right, I'm willing to see how much you're willing to compromise yourself and how much you're not willing to compromise yourself to try and make as many people survive. I think that's what In-ho finds so fascinating. That's why he's always pushing that other angle to things. He's like, you were right before, Gi-hun. He talked him off the ledge, but now it's like, no, I'm by your side, because he wants to push and pull Gi-hun to see how he reacts and see how much he can bend before he breaks, type of situation. I think that's what In-ho's really aiming for, especially with the ending, but we'll get to that. But yeah, there ended up being a lot of people sadly died, and one of them ended up being Simi, and that's so sad too, because like Misu couldn't help, like he tried to help her, because home dude that hung out with Thanos, who took his cross and made sure to keep his pills. I was like, I hope you overdose, you piece of shit. But he ended up stabbing and killing her because she was trying to fight back. I mean, he was going to kill her regardless, but it's not like, damn, homie, that sucks. So when it's all said and done, like Misu, like when the whole situation was over, went over to her dead body. You're like, damn, dude, that sucks. Because I mean, obviously he liked her, and also she was a good person. She was good to him. It's like if he hadn't stuck around those other people, like, you know, because obviously home dude didn't see that it was Misu who threw the bottom. It's not like they're on good terms, but could we actually? That's the last scene we see him in. We didn't actually see him. Because I halfway expected Misu, like when the calm came, I thought Misu was going to take this opportunity to kill the guy, but he's a little meekish. But that doesn't mean that opportunity won't come. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I think when they're given the next chance, Misu's going to kill that guy. Like either put him in a position where he dies in a game or something, or maybe like a lady from last season who took Deoksu and like, yo, let's do the let's do the suplex through the glass and both die. He's probably going to try and do that, take home dude down with him. Like he's just kind of like, that guy needs to go. He's going to continue to be a menace. He's the biggest issue. Like next to Thanos, he was the biggest issue in that group. Like, yeah, 100 is kind of like leading the charge, and yeah, but he's just not as much of an asshole as Thanos and his right-hand dude was. But either way, after the calm hit the room, after like all the death, it's like, all right, the staff comes in and our heroes pretend to be dead, and they all counterattack, kill some of them, force them to retreat. It's like, cool, we gather up all the ammo that's here, all the extra guns from the dead body, and let's get ready to fight. And I think it speaks volumes that the people who are willing to fight are only like, there's only like 2 or 3 extra people that join, and all the people that join are X's. I mean, everyone leading this charge are the X's, so it makes sense. none of the circles get involved. I mean, they want to be here, so they want to compromise the game, but also like it is sad. Like you're willing to go on the offensive when it's players, but when it comes to putting your life, because you're like, oh, that's easy. I'm gonna sneak them while they're sleeping, kill them, so that's easier. Versus like, oh, I have to actually put my life in danger and where I might actually die. It's like you're the one that you're gambling to be here anyway. There's a chance you might die, so you're. But it's like I'd rather like make the voluntary choice. I mean, it is a choice all around. It is voluntary, but it's still just kind of like the irony behind all of it. But also there were some people from the Ex's side who wanted to go. Like Myungi was going to go, but the Juhi like stopped him because prior to like everyone going to sleep, she was like, hide and do not come out. But she convinced him not, because it's like, right, like after everything that went down and seeing him, it's just like, right, you're my baby daddy, and you seem like I kind of doubted you, but you seem like you might be genuinely trying to help me and trying to make up for the past. So I also like, yeah, I want to give you the heads up, but do not like hide and do not get killed. Do not go. Yongsik wanted to go, but his mom stopped him. So, but our main crew people that are going is obviously Inho, Gi-hun, Jungbei, Hyungju, and some. Oh, and Daeho are like of the main ones we know, and some other people. One of the exes tried to like kill some of the circles now that they had a gun, but Gi-hun was like, no, we don't do that. Because it's like, if we do that, we're no better than the monsters that are running this game. So we don't do that. Like, yes, I get you're pissed, you understand, but it's like, yes, we all have this monster in us, but the people who run this game put us in this situation. And that Gi-hun had said that previously, that's what they want. They want us to fight each other. They want us to kill each other just to make things more exciting and entertaining. So it makes you wonder, what do the VIPs think of everything that's going down? How much of this was like broadcast and how much of this was, like, I'd assume they keep it going until like, because like they initially start shooting the cameras along the way, but I'm sure like they're getting a constant feed, not less the games are like affecting what the VIP see. But it's like, yeah, you would think this would be more exciting. Ooh, let's see how this plays out. So we'll see. Either way, our heroes captured one of the guys that got stuck in the room and had him try to lead them to control room. Turns into I honestly wasn't expecting like Squid Game to turn into this, but it also once again got changed the pacing up and it turns into like a whole action movie sequence situation at the end. Not that's a bad thing. It's just like, it's just kind of like I'm kind of like, wow, I would never expected this show to kind of go that direction. But I mean, yeah, you got to fight back in some shape or form. I mean, it was already going to kind of go that direction when Gi-hun like hired all those mercenaries and like had an armory up the wazoo. But either way, they're making their way through like the maze of stairs. And I guess they were already setting the stage for stuff. Like the fact is that Daeho like was kind of nervous and not shooting. Understandable, like he was a Marine, but it's like I'd assume like, well, we don't know enough about his past, so we don't know like, I mean, to get to the Marines, you have to be pretty top notch, but it's also the thing of like, because I was about to say like, you could easily be a part of the military and have never seen combat, so that's what I was like, I don't think that'd be applicable with the Marines. Could it be? I actually don't know. Once again, I don't know enough about the Army in that capacity, but the military, I should rather say, in that capacity. But yeah, because he was the only one that was kind of not fired. I mean, understandable. It's like, this is another situation where you want to act tough, but now you're just like scared, bullets are flying everywhere. It's, who knows? Who knows what his situation getting out of the Marines was? Like there's a lot there. So, and obviously the MVP is Hyungju. Like the fact is, because even was it 246? He was like, yo, like how do you know like about that gun and stuff? And she's like, oh yeah, I used to be RKO Special Forces. It's like, yo, because I was about to say too, because I was like, that is the thing of like, everyone here has military experience in general, because I mean, if you're unaware, everyone in Korea, every man in Korea has to go to the military. Like you're obligated, you have to, it's mandatory for all males to serve some time in the military. Whether you stay in the military after your time is up to you. Like you with a Jungbei and a Daeho and even Hyungjo all ended up, continuing their careers into the military until, sadly, Hyungjo's situation happened and it's like, oh, you kind of got fired. So, But yeah, she was the freaking MVP, holding things down, teaching everyone how to handle their guns. Like, yo, set it to single fire instead of semi-auto, because that way we can make sure we're saving ammo, like trying not to like burn through all our bullets. So slowly but surely making their way up. Initially, they only lost like maybe one or two people initially, and then they kind of had to hold the line as Gi-hoon makes his way up, and Inho's like, "Oh, do you want me to go with you?" He's like, "No, I'll take Junbei with me." And I love Junbei's like, "Why did you take me?" And he's like, "Because you're my friend." He's like, "You only call me your friend when you're really when shit's really going down. It's only like when things are kind of bad, it's when you start calling me your friend." So. And for at first, you're kind of like, it's probably, who knows if that would have been the better choice or not. Because like Inho would have sabotaged it. But that was the thing I was waiting for the entire time. Like, when is Inho going to strike? He had multiple opportunities. But I'm also like, well, you probably want to make sure you get the most fun out of this. But you also want to make sure you do it the most effective way. Because I was about to say, they're unsuspecting of you. And like, you could easily mow down Hyungju and the others there. But I'm like, well, it might be a situation of like, well, I want to make sure I get out of this alive too. You know, I mean, you're still taking a gamble of playing these games. So I don't know. I don't know what that necessarily says, but either way, Junbei and Gi-hoon are making their way through, dealing with anyone, following the path forward. I did think it was interesting. The guy that was, I mean, Inho didn't have to do anything, but Home Dude saw Inho's face and recognized him. The guy that was like they were following to try and get to the control room, but Inho didn't have to do anything. A random bullet struck and killed that guy. I think at that same time another person on their side, another X on their an X on their side died. But I thought that was interesting considering like, well, I guess like of course you're gonna know what each other look. Oh, I was like, would you even know what each other looks like unless you purposely take off your mask? It's like, I guess, like, how many people work there actually know what Inho looks like? I thought it was interesting. You would think, like, I guess it's like, it's not just protection and, you know, hiding your identity from the players. I guess it's from, I always assumed it was from each other too, but it's like, well, because, like, the commanding officer took off his mask, but it's like, right, he knew number 11, no, like, he knew her, so I'm like, I guess that's, I don't know. That's interesting. I never really thought about that too much. Not unless he happened to be one of the people there when Inho took off his mask 3 years ago when he shot his brother. Like, not unless you were one of the staff members that were there, hence why you recognize Inho's face. But it could just be also like, no, everyone knows what Inho looks like. Because definitely the commanding officer did the moment like Inho looked up at the camera and showed his face, was almost looking like, all right, you know what time it is. So we'll see. Whether there's ever real full clarification, it might just be a thing of you kind of have to assume that's the case of like they kind of know each other's identity. You're just not supposed to let the players know your identity. But yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, you're a group of less than you're probably like what, maybe 8 or 9 people at most, armed with some guns and limited amount of ammo that you're picking up off the dead bodies versus a full-blown operation. They've got men up the wazoo, so you're just like, damn, dude, like how's this all gonna play out? And ultimately they were running low on ammo, and Sungju, I think, was suggesting like, I'm gonna be the one to go get it, but Daeho was like, no, I'll go, and he did. He followed the cameras back. He had some of the others help him gather the ammo, and when the time came for him to go back, he froze. And I figured as much. I was hopeful, like, hey, when he dropped the walkie-talkie, you saw him take a few steps back. I was like, please tell me he changed his mind and he rushed through. But when the time came, he backed out. I mean, to be fair, it's kind of been there the entire time. I mean, like anyone in this situation, everyone's 1 degree away from kind of making the other choice. So he even said, like, when Junbei pressed circle to stay here, he's like, oh, don't worry too much. I can't judge you too much because I was seconds away from doing it myself. So it's kind of the same thing here, where it's like, yeah, his fear got the best of him. I mean, once again, he's not the only one that was scared, but it's like that, you know, that's going to be his biggest regret, and that could be a story arc we see come around later on, where he is on the other side, like, I wasn't brave once, and it was the wrong move. I'm going to be brave now. So that's the really sad situation. And ultimately, Sungju had to come back to try and get the ammo, and she gathered it all up. And I even thought it was so sad too, because Daeho was like, I'm sorry. When she was reaching for the ammo, he kind of winces because he thought she was going to hit him. But it's like, she doesn't have time to think about that. But also, I don't think she's going to blame you for not being brave in that situation. You know, everyone's scared, everyone's fearful. It's just a lot. He panicked, all the gunfire, it scared him, you know? And I'm sure, like, in the grand scheme of the thing, like I said, I think that's going to eat him up. That he's going to feel bad because he's going to feel like he let Jungbei down, you know. And it's like, oh, I could have done things differently, you know. But by the time Sungju got the ammo ready, like the squad was already coming in, so she's ready to lock and load. But then Yeon Sik's mom stopped her, was like, "This isn't where you're supposed to die," and she just stops, and you're just like, "Damn." Understand him, because it's like if Sungju went out, not if Hyungju went out there, she would have gotten killed. They wouldn't have like let her go, you know, get away with that. So, and because no one else there would have stuck up to fight, that's why like everyone just kind of accepts it as it is. So. Besides, like, there might all the weapons I think that were in that room were already gathered. Plus, so even if there was still ammo around, like I don't think any of the guns are around. So and Hyungju has like the only gun in here and has only ammo. So well, we know that Daeho had a gun too because Hyungju gave it to him before he left to go get the ammo. So it's like, damn, dude. So all the while that's happening, you know, Inho and the other two are backing up. Jungbei and Gi-hoon, and the entire time I'm like, when is Inho going to make his move? I halfway expected him like on their way there to blast him, but then he gets in front of Gi-hoon, and he's like, Gi-hoon, I could circle around him, and then Gi-hoon sadly gives him one of the magazines. I was like, no, don't give this bastard more ammo. He's like, are you sure? You're just like, oh, it's almost like he's gloating a little bit, like, oh my god, this is too easy. Are you sure you want to give me that ammo? And it's effed up too, considering like he used that extra magazine to kill one of the guys from your side. That sucks. I was waiting because I was like, how far are you going to play this? So he had them go forward. I was like, yeah, because he kept leading the charge, so I expected him to wait to get behind them and then blast him. He ultimately did. And boy, oh boy, as I've said time and time again, he picks up after his predecessor, Ilnam, who's like, once again, it's like they're different situations because like he's the front man and he's kind of more of the host now because now the actual host, that being Ilnam, is dead. But he ends up like faking his death just like Ilnam did, and it's just like for poor Gi-hoon falling forward a second time. That was disgusting. The guy was still alive and he was trying to kill him, but he ran out of ammo, and then he puts in the second clip. He's like, not clip, magazine. Gotta correct myself. Shout out to Moist Critical Charlie, aka Moist Critical. But either way, when it's all said and done, he has that guy gurgling, and he's just like, "Oh, we didn't make it. I'm sorry." Listen to the guy gurgling, and then like pops him, and it's just like there's once again layers upon layers of how fucked up that is. Gi-hoon falling forward again, and also the extra magazine. I was about to make a mistake again. Magazine you gave him, he used a bullet from that to finish the guy off. It's just like, I mean, he would have died anyway, but it was like this is better than like him just staying there drowning his own blood. So. But it becomes a situation where they have to surrender. They all have no more ammo. That one dude that's with 2456 and that other dude, like, he ends up killing himself because he had one bullet left. And it's like, well, I don't know what they're going to kill you regardless, but you don't know, like, whether this is going to be like a, you know, prisoner of war situation or what. So it's like, they might torture me, so I'm just going to make it easier on myself, just take myself out. They surrendered. The one guy left with 246 ends up getting got. And then 246 gets shot. If I remember correctly, it was a triangle that shot him. I think it was number 11. I think it was her. I think she specifically shot him probably just to make sure that he survived enough. Because she knows about the whole operation. So what's probably going to happen is when his body gets taken down there, she'll probably kill everyone involved with that whole situation and then probably try to help him out. Maybe, maybe not. Or it's like, because she's kept an eye on him the entire season. So I don't know, like, and try to make sure he gets out and goes back. Because once again, she's a single parent herself, and her child is still in North Korea, so she's very sympathetic when it comes to him. So it's kind of interesting he went, obviously, this entire season never knowing, but it could easily be something they include for next season. But with all that going down, Inho returned to form as the front man and shows up, and of course, he did what he was going to do. It's not about, like, he wanted to make Gi-hoon suffer the most, so he killed Jungbei. And it's like, you figured as much. It's like, Jungbei making it as far as he did in this season is wild, because you were just kind of, but Gi-hoon was going to do everything he can to make sure his buddy survived, you know, but, damn, dude, it sucks. and Gi-hoon just breaking down and just upset because it's like, yeah, this is the price you pay. Now, 'cause we don't know what happens to those who like led this revolt because like, I mean, they probably know who was responsible. Those who are already captured. Well, there was no captured. Like everyone that was a part of all that is dead with the exception of Gi-hoon. And like I said, like I believe 246 is still alive, but that might be kept off everyone else's radar. But like we know, Daeho and Sungju are the only other two survivors. So I don't know what that means. Like, because there's recorded footage of them being part of all of this. So I don't know if they'll suffer any ramifications or not. I mean, the point is, you've also nipped it in the bud to stop it so that no one else ever attempts this. So Gi-hoon's meant to be the example. I could easily see them forcing him to continue playing the game now. Like, just for the purposes, like, yeah, you are a champion, and the VIPs would love it, and also to torture him more, to put him in a situation of, let's see if you can get more people out of here, because, like, you wanted to try and make the least amount of sacrifices, and just more sacrifices happen either way. Like, everyone that would have probably died on the X's side regardless. Well, no, because everyone that was a part of that meeting, not all of them went. You know, like, Young-sik and his mom and Junhee were all a part of that meeting, but they all stayed behind, you know. So yeah, it's just a very unfortunate situation, and it's like that's where the season ends with that gut punch, and it's just like has to be pushed down to the ground, and he's taken away looking at his friend's dead body, and it's just like, yeah. And Gi-hoon already had so much guilt already over everything during the games 3 years ago, all the deaths that's happened so far, feeling responsible for this because he thinks he's responsible for Inho's death as well, not knowing like the man is in front of you right now playing this role. It's like the moment you find out, dude, oh my god, I can't wait for the get back. And all they did to tease us was that ending, that little before we like semi mid credit scene where we see. I guess what might be game 4 is another red light, green light. Not less. Who knows what that means? Because I was like, but it seems like a modified version of it. Because instead of one doll, there's two, and you're like, what is that about? Like, is that another game that's happening concurrently? Or is that a continuation? Once again, we don't know what the situation is with these games because things are different. Once again, the first game was the same. 2 and 3 were different, but like, who's to say they don't revisit a game like 1, but with some modifications? Or if that's something else entirely, who knows? There's a lot of questions left. I brought it up earlier in the season. The show is coming back for a third season, a third and final season. In fact, seasons 2 and 3 were filmed back to back, so we will be getting season 3 sometime next year. It'll probably be a couple months from now. Just for the examples of stuff I've seen, like the example I think of is like Sweet Home, how that was filmed back to back, another Korean show. There was like, I think it was like the second season came out December of 2023, and the third season came out like July, I believe. So I could definitely see this kind of following a similar path, maybe. So I'm curious to see what the length is going to be for that for the season 3. And I'd assume we're not going to time skip. I'm sure we're going to immediately pick up because, like I said, we're in the middle of this game, so we got through 3 games. So there's still 3 left potentially. And once again, if that they don't shake up things, once again, the aftermath of all of this, there's just this game is heading in a whole new direction. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the third and final season has in store for us. I mean, we see who survived so far, but there's no guarantees with the final season. Anyone can get got, even Gi-hoon. He might, die in the end, or maybe he'll survive. Who knows? Like, he has all the motivation to survive long enough to see this whole thing burn. But it could easily see this thing being a thing of it's too big and it's too powerful. It's too much of a well-oiled machine that even if you take out these people, it's still going to continue. I mean, that's the whole point of like, right, we can't just like kill some staff or whatever because it doesn't stop the overarching thing from happening. So we'll have to ultimately wait and see, keep an eye out, because it's the 29th at the time of recording this. It should be going out tomorrow on the 30th, if I edit this all down, but it should be going up tomorrow. So, but like at the time of recording this, all we have is a release date of 2025. That's all. We don't have anything specific right now, so we'll have to marinate on this for a couple months before we get the next season, just to kind of see how this all plays out. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.